It started slowly, almost imperceptibly. My wife, Kavya, had been distant for months, and I brushed it off at first. Busy work days, parenting stress, life in general. But over time, the signs became impossible to ignore. Late-night texts, secretive calls, unexplained outings. She laughed off my questions, saying I was overthinking. I wasn't. The truth came out one afternoon when I walked into the living room to find her on a video call with a man I had never met before. My children, Arav and Aisha, were sitting nearby, laughing at his jokes. He called himself their real dad. I froze. My heart pounded. I wanted to scream, to grab the phone, to demand answers, but I didn't. I had spent too many years reacting emotionally, letting anger cloud my judgment. Instead, I left, quietly. I didn't argue, I didn't accuse, and I didn't beg. I just left. My goal wasn't revenge in the traditional sense. It was to let reality teach her a lesson she hadn't anticipated. For months, I stepped back. I withdrew my financial support gradually, not because I hated my children or my wife, but because I wanted them to experience life beyond comfort, to see the consequences of entitlement. Bills piled up, vacations were canceled. The extra school activities that had seemed so necessary suddenly disappeared. The lifestyle she had counted on, built on my earnings, started to crumble. I stayed in touch with my kids. We played, studied, laughed, and explored in ways that didn't require money. I wanted them to understand that happiness isn't bought, stability isn't guaranteed, and respect isn't demanded, it's earned. Kavya's calls became frantic. She begged, pleaded, tried to manipulate, and even threatened. But I remained calm. I didn't yell. I didn't retaliate. I simply let her see the natural consequences of her choices unfold. The man she called their real dad tried to step in, but he had no authority, no financial capacity, no real claim. The children, however, noticed the change immediately. The absence of luxury, the tightened budget, and the small sacrifices required to live without my income became tangible lessons. One evening, Kavya confronted me, her voice shaking. "Why are you doing this? Don't you care about the kids?" I looked at her calmly, carefully. "I care about them more than you can imagine. But caring isn't about money. Caring is about teaching them responsibility, resilience, and respect. You've chosen to replace me with someone else, and I'm giving you the consequences of that choice." Her face went pale. For the first time, she saw the weight of her actions reflected not just in herself, but in the lives of our children. The surprising part? The children adapted. They learned to enjoy simple pleasures, to value moments over material possessions, and to appreciate stability beyond luxury. My absence of money became a lesson in humility, understanding, and resilience. Months later, Kavya finally realized the gravity of her betrayal. The man she thought could replace me vanished as quickly as he had appeared. She had no authority, no guidance, no real claim over the children. And through it all, I had remained calm, consistent, and unshaken. In the end, my revenge wasn't about humiliation, confrontation, or drama. It was about showing the consequences of betrayal in a way that mattered, not just for her, but for the children who depended on stability, care, and love. The lesson was clear. Replacing someone in your life for a thrill may seem harmless at first, but the true cost, the impact on family, trust, and the children, can be far greater than anyone anticipates. And in that calm, calculated response, I reclaimed not just my dignity, but the integrity and well-being of my children. Kavya learned the hardest lesson of all, that life without accountability, without respect, and without the foundation she had taken for granted is never as easy or as thrilling as she imagined. And I emerged stronger, steadier, and wiser, having let betrayal teach the real lesson in its own quiet, undeniable way.